What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away, burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To play, haters face the world's mistakes.
Hey, what's up? I kind of forgot we were on YouTube. But yeah, we're on YouTube too. I saw you pop up. Shannon, what's up? Oh, I forgot to start the timer, but here we go. I'll start it at 3 minutes. There we go. Thank you for the reminder. Intel Lady is backstage. Even though she made several threats just to leave immediately, she's sticking around for a little bit, I think. This is called Kill It Anyway, and the way you can find it is looking up Stream Beats, one word, STREAM BEATS, Stream Beats, one word, Kill It Anyway.
Out the people on this planet by name.
Oh, we can't play that on YouTube, but that song that's playing now, we better go back here. That one gets a little spicy, okay? It's a spicy theme song. Welcome, everybody. Share the link, send it out. We'll be starting shortly. Gotta be fun. Oh, thank you. It didn't go over well with a lot of the right-wing people, the Tim Ballet deep dive, but people deserve to know the truth. Yes, human trafficking is a problem. Yes, we should work on it. Yes, we should do more. Yes, we'll never get it to zero, but that's our goal. It should always be our goal. But it's not like he's setting it up to. He's in a money-making venture, and it's working. I also have Ollie here with me today, so if you hear me talking in the background, normally that would just be the voices in my head, but today it's actually my son. 50-50, something like that. I'll bring him over to say hi to the camera in a minute. See you over there on Rumble, holding your own. Later on, when we bring Intel Lady on, if you have questions, you can try to throw them in the chat. I'll try to highlight the ones that I see, the ones that I think would be good for the conversation, and see if we can finally get some answers out of her. She's been dodging us for, I don't know, a couple years. It's time to get to the bottom of this. It's time. We won't take no for an answer. Hey, Will, your supporter from Belfast, UK. Holly. Oh, yeah. Hey, what's up? I saw you. You discredit Phil's claim that all banks were shut down in Europe. Mustang Sally looks like she's ready for a good fight, huh? Might as well be. All right, I'm going to stop the music there, and looks like our timer has expired. Actually, let's let it play to the next song. There we go. All right, and the timer has expired, so we're going to roll an intro. Now, if I would have been thinking ahead, if I'd have been good at this podcasting or live streaming or whatever it was, I would have changed my intro video back to Intel Lady, but I forgot. So we're gonna roll the Linda Benda intro video because I didn't remember, and as soon as I click it, it's gonna roll anyway. So here we go.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Benda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I am Will Bard, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you for joining us today. That was the intro by Linda Benda, and not Intel Lady. But we do have Intel Lady backstage. It's time to expose her. That's what I think. We've let her go all this time just smiling and putting on a wig, and it's time to get the real answers straight from the Intel Lady's mouth. But you can check out Linda Benda and Intel Lady on YouTube and Twitch. That was actually a cameo someone bought for me, so you can find her on Cameo as well. But before we get started, make sure you like and share the stream. I'm kind of early, so we don't have the numbers we typically do, but I'm sure they'll start filtering in soon. But make sure you like the stream, share the stream, send it wherever you can. Let people know that Intel's Lady's here, and it's basically like a interrogation. I've already warmed up the spotlight, and we have a car battery here with some jumper cables, so we're going to get down to the bottom of that. Before we get started, though, if you want to contribute to the show, this is how you do it. Also, make sure I'll have my mods drop Intel Lady's link, of course, over on YouTube. And she's got YouTube Shorts, and TikTok. Drop all those. But if you want to contribute to the show, you can do that at coldbeer.fund. Keep the show going. You're more than welcome to use any of those. The most important thing about the website is my social media links. Make sure you're following me everywhere. I get booted from most places, so I've been thrown out of better places, though. Just to be fair, this isn't like the pinnacle of where I've been thrown out of, but I have been thrown out quite a few times. But there's my Twitch Kick, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, Facebook, TikTok, Rumble, and Discord. Plus donation links. Dono clip. You can leave an audio, video message. Buy me a coffee. You leave a text message, and then we have all these weird bit animations that pop up. Don't be surprised if you see me shooting out of some young Asian man's butthole. That's part of the show. That's part of the mystique. Okay, you don't get to make an omelet without cracking a few butthole eggs. So, without further ado, I will bring on. Let me get her audio first. But I will bring on Intel Lady. So here we go. How's it going?
Hello.
Good to see you. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. A bit knackered, late night last night, but
oh no,
all good.
And what time is it there? Was I right? Is it like 10 p.m. there now? or
Yeah,
11?
it's 10 past 10. Right
Okay,
now.
I can never remember which way daylight savings time. Like you guys don't do daylight savings time over there? Like where you skip ahead an hour and then fall back an
Yeah,
hour?
yeah, we do.
Oh,
We
okay.
do. So
I didn't know
we're
that.
in our summer time now. Yeah.
Oh, I was always trying to calculate whether we were in daylight savings time or not. So it's just 5 hours. I could have done that. Actually, when I first set this up, I'm like, I'm going to start it at 5 p.m. And I knew it was 5 hours. And I was like, that'll be noon for Intel Lady. As long as she doesn't have lunch planned, she'll be fine. And people were like, no, it's like the middle of the night. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So
It's fine. I don't mind.
yeah, most of my audience knows. We won't keep you too long. You can dip out whenever. But most of my audience just knows you from the skits. So you've been on YouTube. And how long have you been doing? You do other things too, but how long have you been doing the skit portion of it?
I think I started Intel Lady channel in April. My gems might have to check this.
Oh no,
April 21.
right?
Yeah, it's
And
2021.
I was under the impression that you were the very first video we got, which was like the lady in the bank cleaning up. It was the maid from the bank that Charlie called, but that was not you at all, was it?
No, that was not me. No, nothing to do with me.
I spent like a year giving you credit for that, and then finally I heard you on one of the shows. You're like, "That's actually not me. It never was me. That's someone completely different." But that's pretty good. But you do okay. Sorry, go wash your hands. But you doing some other channels too, and you do some other stuff like Lightworker Lady, right?
Yeah, that was my first channel, and I've had that channel since 2015.
Do you still uploaded it and still make content for it as well?
I don't as much these days because I'm a bit hyper focused on Intel Lady stuff at the moment, and now flipping TikTok's come along. It's like, oh god,
Oh yeah.
It's really, really hard to split my time. And people keep saying, oh, when are you going to go back to your Lightworker Lady and upload some? Because I did a few live stream meditations and people really enjoyed that.
Right.
And I'm like, I will. I'll try and dip back in. But I got quite cross with the spiritual community, which is kind of why I ended up doing Intel Lady.
Yeah.
Because they just, so many of them merged into the grifty world of the 17th letter of the alphabet. They all started parroting the same stuff, and I got really, really cross.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
They kind of it was almost like it kept going in the same direction, and it seemed like anybody that broke away from that path they were all going down, where they were like exiled or treated differently, or even called out outright. It went crazy quick, didn't it? It's over during COVID and stuff when everybody's locked up in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was sort of going a bit like that before 2020. I think since 2017, really, slowly, many in that community. Well, I mean, you know that I cover David Wilcock. He was
for sure
really bad for that. He was, it was all the unsealed indictments and all of that kind of nonsense that he pushed and pushed, because he had all of these insiders that he used to meet at roadside cafes and stuff. They were also just con artists. But he's a bit dim-witted, is old David. So he just believed what people told him. And but their followers, oh my god, I mean, they are so popular, these people. They have a huge following and they make a lot of money. I don't know about you, but I have not seen a single hover car from David Wilcock, which is what he was crowdfunding for. He teamed up with an aerospace expert who was also a con artist and hadn't produced anything he claimed he'd produced.
Yeah.
And they were going to build hover cars. Well, the hover cars are supposed to be already on the market by now, because he said that it would take a year.
Yeah, there was a big investment too, and he was pitching it to other people. I remember somebody did a show, or a few people have done a show on it, but I've seen a couple of them. But yeah, it was a crazy community, and it was kind of all building up to kind of the perfect storm when we all locked down. I mean, it went crazy because I was covering like Trump related stuff and people, and I was actually a big Trump supporter at one time and trying to get people to vote for him. But then I'm not very like spiritual. That's just not my thing, right? But it was like I went from seeing only like these right wing people in like suits and doing their thing, or very, very conservative, to like then I started seeing like yoga instructors and people like that were peddling the same stuff. And it's like each group that came in, they brought their own conspiracies with them, because we started with a whole lot less conspiracies, but as everybody came, the conspiracies just started multiplying till it got like everything was a conspiracy.
It was crazy. It was like a big old cauldron of conspiracies, and they were all just mixing around together, and they were so conflicting in their natures as well. All these different, like, how is this, all of this fitting together under the umbrella of a love and light community? How is this even working? And when I did make a video about it, I deliberately made a video on the inauguration day of Joe Biden to prove a point that everything Simon Parkes, Charlie Ward, and all the other grifters had said was complete bollocks. And I was not, I didn't hold back. I'd already made a video about David Wilcock, which made me really unpopular. And I thought, wow, I'll just go the whole 9 yards, slag off everyone else too. And I just called it out and said, this is absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand what's happening with the community. And I lost so many subscribers.
Oh yeah.
Doing that. And I actually felt quite happy. I felt a weight lifted off me, because I just thought, I don't want to be part of this community. And I think after that, when I made videos for that channel, there were few and far between, and it was more and more that I was saying, I'm why are you believing this stuff, and calling out this person. I called out Stephen Greer, and it was just all. So when I took the time off the channel, and I have come back and I made a few late last year. I made one after the Queen passed away, because obviously all the grifters were jumping on the bandwagon.
Oh, absolutely.
She died years ago and all of this kind of nonsense. So I made a video about that. Again, people didn't like that. I love reading the comments now. If I go back and look at those videos, especially when I called out Simon and Charlie, the comments, just you wait until March. Remember Mental March, when nothing happened?
That's right.
And I would say, I can't wait. Come back. Let's go back. Let's revisit this in March and see what happens, and see if Joe Biden is still the president.
That's right.
And of course they never came back, because they kick that 17 can down the road, don't they? And goalposts, that we have to move them because of this and that, and White Hat operations and blah 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 blah. To me, I think, as much as I have a spiritual background, I've had all sorts of weird paranormal experiences in my life, and
oh yeah,
I can't ignore them. They've happened. I saw them, I experienced them. But at the same time, I don't want to be lumped in with these people. They're mental, and I can't deal with it. I can't deal with crazy. I can't deal with this grifty. Love and light, everybody. Oh, by the way, just to let you know that Joe Biden's a clone. I can't. It's not what I signed up for. It's not what I set up my channel for. And I feel like I have to keep all of these people at arm's length now. And it's really sad. And people do keep emailing me going, when are you coming back? And I'm like, I'm okay. But in a way, and people have pointed this out to me, and I'm like, no, I agree with that. My spirituality has evolved in the sense of I am lifting people's spirits in a different way. I am spreading positivity and joy in a different way. And for me, I feel this is a way that is bringing people together, not pulling people apart, like the spiritual community seems to be doing. This is bringing people all together, and I love that.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits, just even health-wise, like benefits just for laughter. Like that's kind of the way. So like a lot of my, I know what you mean about like the weight off your chest, because like a lot of my followers are still like I was. They like, even though I've kind of disavowed a bunch of stuff, like my political beliefs are kind of like evolving and changing with the current political times. And there's a lot of people that don't agree with me or get mad at me, but and they might leave, but you just got to say it at some point. Like you can't just keep pretending or ignoring one of the two. There's a lot of people who try to do that. Like they just want to ignore it, or they want to pretend to go along and keep the numbers up. But there's some people that can't just hold all that in. Eventually you got to say something and say, hey, these people aren't right, or this isn't right, or this idea isn't true, or something. You have to finally put it out there, whether you lose people or not.
Yeah. It's worth it to me because I want to be able to go to bed at night and sleep.
Right.
I don't want to feel like, oh God, I'm going along with a load of nonsense. I would hate that. So yeah, that means a lot to me that, there's more honesty in these communities than there seems to be in the spiritual love and light community at the moment. And it's been that way for a while.
And there's more truth in other communities than there are in any of the truther movements.
Exactly.
It's crazy the way that I was listening to something today. So sometimes I get frustrated with like you said, when you said like people come back in October and we'll see, or March, or I was thinking Red October, you meant mental March. Yeah. I've had people like swear to me in my chat, like they'll be back in 7 days because that's when it's happening. I promise I'll be back. Win, lose, or draw, I'll be back and we'll talk about this. And then they just disappear. But I was listening to somebody today that it's incredibly hard, if not almost impossible, to get anybody out of a true echo chamber, like if they're in it, because the people who build these echo chambers and the people that are in them, the people who build them probably consciously, but the people that are in them together with them, probably subconsciously, they already build defenses around anything you're going to say. So like you'll see it in the truthers when they'll say, oh, this is, this is a clone. People will tell you like it's an artifact in the camera, or people will tell you like it's just some type of manipulation, or people will tell you it's edited or a lie or whatever. But you got to be ready for that. So they have these defenses already built up, and it just falls out of their mouth because they've heard it so many times in their echo chambers. When you bring it up, they already know the point that they're going to use to counter that, and they're not going to listen to any argument whatsoever. You can't talk people out of an echo chamber, or it's very, very hard to.
Exactly. And you also have to know when to give up trying. And I think that's why I'm quite comfortable in my lane of being a court jester and just clowning.
That's right.
Because I don't have to. I'm not the sharpest tool in the box. I'm not super intelligent. I'm not great at, debating and arguing points. I'll get myself in a fluster. I'm better off at using humor. That's always been how I am, really. So
right. I'd
rather do that. And the rest of you who are brilliant at arguing and debating, logically, go for it, crack on, because I can't be in that group. It just doesn't work for me.
Well, my followers know me, and they know that I am calm and always keep a cool as a cucumber, never lash out at anybody, just remain calm. But every once in a while I get upset, but it's nice to just have somewhere to go just to laugh, and you don't have to worry about all the idiots popping up on Facebook and yelling something and doing something crazy. I think my audience tries to drive me towards that. Like they won't let me stop broadcasting on Facebook because that's where all the grandmas come from.
Oh, God.
But TikTok has, like you said, TikTok has been a new thing, and you've actually got some people convinced that you're other people, correct? Like some of your videos are taken off because they think you're this person or that, or the lady on the plane in one of the most recent ones. That motherfucker's not real guy, right? Or woman, I guess.
Oh, it's magical. It's absolutely amazing. As I just stated to you, I'm not the sharpest tool in the box, but TikTok makes me feel like I am a member of Mensa. I have never, ever experienced such a bunch of dummies in my life. These people are just, I'm like, oh my God. The other day I had to explain to someone what satire was. Because he was like, I wish this was a joke. It isn't. He kept saying to me, why, and he didn't speak, the best English either. Why you support Just Stop Oil? Why are you with them though? And I'm like, oh my God, oh, this is painful. And I'm like, so I play along in character. So I'll say a whole bunch of nonsense about oil and da 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 da, and someone will say, oh, you're not popular. No one likes you. No one likes Just Stop Oil. You're not popular. Everyone hates you. You're a menace. Blah blah blah. And I'll be like, no, not true. Everyone honks their horns at us in solidarity because they agree with everything that we're doing, even if they're like cussing us out. They still completely agree with us, and it says so in the Just Stop Oil Comrade Handbook, paragraph 2, section 4. And, and they just eat it up. I'm like, oh my God, how are you not getting that this, I'm just messing with you? Why aren't you clicking on my bio? Why aren't you saying satire? But this person had clicked on my bio where it says satire, and then they went back in and said, yeah, but why do you support Just Stop Oil though? I'm like, okay, I actually I can't remember. And then I just, in the end, I just went, this is a satire channel. And then he came back and went and wrote in block capitals, yeah, but what is satire though? I'm like, oh no.
That explains TikTok. And I actually started doing that on I had to start a backup channel, and I was trying to think of the quickest way to get 1,000 subscribers because we were going to Florida and I wanted to live stream on TikTok some. And mine was banned for a week, and it would be unbanned by the time we got back. So I started one and started doing videos about the revaluation, and the dinar and stuff. And it took off overnight. We got 1,000 subscribers in about 28 hours, 1,000 plus, like 1,300 in about 28 hours. It's insane what people want to believe. And even though I would mispronounce shit and say the wrong stuff on purpose, like they just didn't even pick up on it. They're just like, yeah, me too. I can't wait. What a time to be alive.
Oh God, it's been, I mean, look, on a serious note, some of these people might operate machinery for a living, you know?
Yeah.
Some of these people are cooking, are flipping your burgers. Some of these people, you know, are driving buses and taxis
public transport. That's what I always think about. Like, some of these people are bus drivers or trains or so, and you might be riding on there and they're barely functioning on social media.
It's quite, we love, but at the same time, it's like, that is actually scary, isn't it? That what they're prepared to believe. But
right.
Yeah, it's so easy to do these characters. And I did, I did the one about the reptilian on a plane. That story's changed now, though. I saw another video today. Apparently, he had said it wasn't that he was a reptilian. It was that he had said something to her, which we probably can't repeat here. So,
was it something racist or what was it?
No. It's certainly an ist.
Okay.
But it was something that you probably shouldn't say when you get on a plane.
Oh, I got you.
It was that kind of comment. And that freaked her out enough. But I think that this is another cock and bull story and someone else trying to get clicks on TikTok.
Probably.
She was going, that guy is not human. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
And so why would you say that if someone had just made a comment like that?
Yeah.
Why would you say they were not human? It's all a bit weird. So I again, that's kind of why I made the video, because it was more the fact that everyone was coming out saying that they were on the plane, and it was becoming hilarious. Right. There's another video and another passenger has popped up to say, yeah, no, it was really true. Yeah, no, I was there. And it's like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity to do a sketch about that and say that I was also there. And then I realized actually she is just like Mad Max Maddie, and Mad Max Maddie would claim that she was on a plane with a reptilian, wouldn't
Absolutely.
She?
Coming
And
back from a rescue.
Set up a GoFundMe to help the victims of the reptilian on the plane. You know, I thought actually I'm just gonna say it's Mad Max Maddie. So I did the one on TikTok, and then I put it up on my YouTube shorts as Mad Max Maddie, because I'm like, it's basically her, isn't it? But
oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, I saw, like, when this first happened, there was a bunch of people popping up and saying I'm on the plane, blah blah blah. One of these guys that I follow who tries to explain like the Masons to like people and demystify. Yeah. I was watching him and like they were looking for a black guy, and he was a white guy with face tattoos, and they're like, that's not you, and he's like, I'm a shapeshifter, duh. Like, but I did find one woman who actually had she actually had a picture of this lady. She had like from the bar before they took off. This lady was on the background. She had tickets and she had boarding passes, everything, and she said that there seemed to be an argument that broke out over a set of headphones, And then it was a black guy, and then another black lady jumped up because she was the black guy was being accused of stealing headphones, and she said, "Hey, I'm a lawyer. I'll be his legal representation. You can't make these accusations." Then that's when the lady flipped out. It reminded me of a targeted individual, because they don't mean the person isn't physically real. They mean like they're like an agent and they work for the CIA and they're not really a flight attendant, or they're not really a passenger, or they don't mean they're like see through, or no one else can see them. They usually mean that there's some type of agent. Which, have you seen that video? I covered it one night. Have you seen that video where since you do targeted individual, where that lady tries breaking into her neighbor's apartment for like an hour, and they have to call the police? Have you seen that yet? I'll send it to you if you haven't. It is insane. It is wild. It's this black guy, and she tries breaking into his apartment because apparently they let him use their Wi-Fi. And obviously that's bad because she thinks that he's hacking her now. But that was when she was like normal. When she has like this episode, she tries breaking into his apartment. Like, he's literally having to block the door because she says that he broke into their apartment, stole all their computers and all their files. And she finds a picture, like, you know how when you buy a picture frame, it has like a stock image in it. There was a stock image of a child, and then this guy had an ultrasound photo of him and his girlfriend, I guess, were having a kid, and she starts freaking out, screaming, "That's my baby! Look!" Her husband's there. It's a mess. I'll send it to you after we're done here. But
yes, please send it to me.
there's genuinely some wild people out there, and everybody has access to social media. So even when I go out there and act crazy, or when you go out there and act crazy, it's easy for people to believe it because there's crazier people that they've seen that are probably legit.
Yeah. It's that easy. I think that's why also it's so easy to be a Just Stop Oil protester,
right?
Because they all behave absolutely crazy, and the way they talk, you know, when they're getting called out, and how hysterical they sound, and all of them. There's a bit of a pattern with Just Stop Oil people. They all come from quite privileged backgrounds. Right. And this is why people are getting so annoyed with them, because they're like, look, you know, you don't come from poverty. You don't come from lack. You're a posh girl that's at university, that's had all your fees paid by mommy and daddy. You've never had to work for anything in your life. And now you're dossing about with Just Stop Oil, blocking traffic. This is why you're not liked. Or there's a lot of retired teachers. There seems to be a pattern, which is one of my characters, Marjorie. I painted her as a retired art teacher, because I'm like, come on, there's probably about 40 or 50 of these retired art teachers protesting. They do conform to that stereotype. And so she's my favorite one to play, actually, is Marjorie. She's absolutely crazy, hysterical boomer, I guess.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, their character, that's why they're so believable, because they have behaved in the most ridiculous ways when they've been caught on camera, and how they react. And I just have to watch them for a couple of minutes to get the measure, and then I'll just go and make something up.
Oh yeah. And you're incredibly good at it. Somebody was arguing with me the other day just because I think they were a Q-tard, but they're like, I don't get it. Like, why? And I'm like, they even tried to argue. Like, I think one of the best ones you've got, like with like the speech pattern and the pauses and stuff, is Phil. And you don't upload those. I put them on my show, but like that was one of them. And they were in my comments. They're like, it's nothing like Phil. She doesn't talk. And I'm like, man, she nailed Phil. If anybody nailed Phil, she nailed Phil. The only reason that I don't recognize it even more is because I always watch Phil on like a 1.5 times speed or 1.75 because all the pauses and stuff. But when you slow down Phil and put it or normal speed Phil beside your video, man, you've got it down. There's no question that's exactly who that is.
Well, I'll let you into a secret. When that last one that I made for you, I hadn't watched him make any video. I don't know if he did make a video explaining what all of that was about or responding to you in any way. Right. So I've only watched Phil maybe 3 times, 4 maximum. Yeah. And I can only bear to watch him for about 5 to 10 minutes. So I've got the measure of him within those few times that I've watched him. And I know the script for these people. If they claim that they're working with an alliance or, you know, the Galactics or whatever, they'll come out with nonsense. And I thought, right, what is the most ridiculous excuse he could possibly make up for sexting somebody else and sending special pictures of himself? What could it be? And then I'm like, it's obviously a weapon, isn't it? It's obviously an alliance weapon. So I thought, right, I'll do that then. And there you go. It didn't take me long to put that together. And thankfully I didn't have to watch anything he said about anything, because it was he's just such an obvious person with the stories that he tells. I've heard it all before.
Well,
So,
I can give you the short version of what so the first thing he said is that they had found hacking software. He called it logging software. He and his new wife had found logging software on his phone and on his computer. So he thinks that he was basically claiming that he was hacked, right? Somebody hacked him using this cabal deep state software. Then almost instantly after that didn't kind of make sense. He said the pictures were real, but the texts weren't. It was probably two dudes texting each other and using his pictures. Then almost instantly, right after that, didn't hold a whole lot of water. Why would he be taking pictures on his honeymoon? You know, blah, 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 all the other questions people have. He went to, oh, well, this friend of mine that used to work for me, which is another person in his pyramid, 7K pyramid. He's like, well, she was my web developer, so I gave her every password I have, including my bank account and my Telegram and every password I've ever had. I just wrote them down on a list and gave them to him. So then people are like, Edward Snowden gave everybody the password to everything and then never changed them. Are you serious? So now he's kind of back to, he's suing people now for revenge porn. And I guess he's back to, he's been catfished. I don't know, because if he gave this all away, then he's talking about suing other people. It doesn't even make sense. Even his followers are kind of lost and like, what's going on now? Who did this and what was the reason for it? It's wild that imagine the balls on somebody to already be in trouble with this, already have all these claims about these other women, these cheating claims. He would just went viral on a little Facebook post from where he lives. It's like his zip code, like I think it's like his area code. It's 570, like the phone number area code. Are we dating the same man? It's a Facebook group where like men get busted for like texting the same multiple women, and the women get together and say, well, I'm texting this person. Someone says I am too, and they know that they're being played or whatever. He got exposed on there twice. Like, oh, wow. And then to go on your honeymoon and to take pictures in your honeymoon suite. I couldn't believe that it was even a thing. It just blew my mind.
He has got some
brainworms or something. But the video you did was very, very funny. The weapon, and where I blurred it out, it makes it look like it may be a penis, but it's actually a weapon. Oh, so how many characters do you currently do? There's a bunch of them. Do you keep up with them, like a number, or is there just a bunch of them?
I've lost count now, because I do keep
quite a few.
A lot. I mean, well into double figures, maybe. I think probably over 20 now. There's something I haven't done for a while, because a lot of the grifters have sort of gone off the map a little bit now. They seem to be doing other things, and there's, you know, like you don't see Mel K much anymore. She's sort of moved on from the usual group. I used to do her, not very much, occasionally. That was more when she was sort of feuding with Kirsten W when she was still alive and all of that. So
Patriot honkers.
Look.
Oh, yeah.
Always get ready. I've always got the honker ready.
Oh goodness.
Well, Lyman merches these now, because I thought I've got to keep merching. You know, fake merching the honker. It's too good not to.
That's exactly right.
So Lyman's now merching those. But I don't know. Gems. The Gems would know. You have to ask.
I got some people answering already. Got to be at least 25. You said over 20, right? Got to be at least 25. Yeah. That's from Carolyn. There's quite a few that you do. And like you said, some of them have fallen. Like Mel K, she sent Jordan Sather a message asking to be left alone, saying she doesn't even associate with Charlie Ward anymore at all. They don't speak. They don't talk. They don't nothing. They're done completely. So some of them has fallen off.
Yeah, I think, but why did it take him so long to work out that, that Charlie Ward was a grifter? How did it take them that long with the nonsense that he spouts? It's like, I mean,
I think they knew the whole time, but the money was worth it. And then as the following
would
starts
you
to
trust-
dwindle,
would you trust that? Would you trust that?
I do like his grill. I want a grill.
And everyone wants that grill, don't they? Look at all those euros there. That's a lot of euros.
Even Simon Parks broke from. I don't know if you've done a Lyman video about it yet, but Simon.
Okay, they broke apart, and he's even calling him out and saying that he was wrong, and he was, he shouldn't have been doing. It's crazy.
Yeah, but they knew from the get-go that he was a faker. They knew that, but I think they just knew they were onto a good thing, and they were making money, and the going was good. And I think when he did get slung off by Eric Trump, didn't he? Fraudy, he was slung off the thing by him. Then they were like, okay, right, we've got to change tack now, because it doesn't look good if a member of the Trump family has said, get him out of here. So that all they're doing is just covering their own backs. They're not like, they haven't seen the light and realized that they've been telling porcupines for the whole time. They're not those kinds of people. They're just like, oh God, right, new grift, new plan.
Yeah.
What should we do? What should we say?
I think there's only so many times they can say, oh, this is misinformation, or this is to get your attention off that, blah, blah, blah. Especially like when a member of the Trump family, like they probably could have said, they had to say that just to pacify or part of the plan, or blah, blah, blah. There's only so many times you can say that, and people would still be like, oh, okay, yeah, makes sense, I guess. But Simon chose to go the other way, which, I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I guess they're turning on each other. Maybe a good thing. Maybe they'll cause each other's demise.
That would be good, but Parks is like a cockroach. He'd survive any nuclear apocalypse. He just seems to reinvent himself.
Yeah, he's pretty well, especially like that first documentary you can still find of him drawing his alien family. It's like they're like he had to stop by the convenience store to buy some crayons. Like, what is going on here?
He didn't realize that the woman who was narrating it was so obvious that they were doing it as they were taking the absolute piss out of him. And, that's why I did my little mini series, Confessions of a Driving Instructor,
right?
Because I loved the sort of fly on the wall documentary style that they did. And I thought, we can do this. And the person who edits all my videos, I'm like, you could be the interviewer, and you could be like following Lyman around. And then we did it, and oh my God, we laughed so much. I driving down a motorway dressed as Lyman, getting angry with other drivers and just talking absolute bollocks about the white hats and the good guys, and mixing it in with his experiences with the aliens, and
for sure
blending it all together. And it was a beautiful documentary to put together. And honestly, I'd never laughed so much making that. It was absolute. We even got an appearance from our neighborhood cat that played with Lyman in the garden at the end of one of them.
Just perfect. And it's hard to make something funnier than the actual documentary. I mean, they even had a part where like he went in and found like a greeting card, and he's like, that's me as a baby. And they're like, what are you talking? We were talking about aliens. He's like, no, this is me as a baby. Look right there on that card. Everybody will tell you that's me.
Yeah, no, that was, and I actually made a separate skit of that, the greetings card. Lyman goes to the card shop, and it wasn't a baby. It was a picture of a man in the back of a car on a greetings card that looked nothing like Simon Parks. I mean, it just didn't. He looked more like me. There was just no resemblance to him whatsoever. And and when he was, it wasn't on that documentary that he talked about that. This was an interview with another lunatic who believed him and was hanging off his every word. And he said that he'd gone to the person behind the counter and went, "Why is my face on this card? Why is my face?" And wanted to know. The woman is like, I mean, I don't know.
Like so that guy made the cards. Like he just works there.
But he used to be known as Tap, but he's Steve at the Reality Wire. Steve actually traced that back and found who was the person on the card, who took the photograph, when it was taken, and followed the trail back to prove that it literally had nothing to do with Simon Park. It was awesome. I just, the man lives in this delusional world of craziness. Even talking about sex with Cat Queen, and which that's why I made the Cat Queen sketch. And I thought, right, okay, what can a Cat Queen be? And I went through a few ideas, and I'm like, she can just be like a dominatrix at the local brothel. I think that would just be more what you would expect him to where you would expect him to be going.
Sure.
And that sort of plays into Lyman and his dirtiness and his seediness. But yeah, I've got to say I do enjoy playing Lyman. I do. I can't help it. I like doing my live streams as Lyman as well, because I just spend the whole time arguing with men who come in and insisting that they've got to be betas to come into the chat, and if we don't have alphas, we can only have betas in, because they've got to be white hat approved betas.
That's right.
And all the women that come in, he just mercilessly flirts with, and he's just utterly creepy with them. And honestly, they line up for it, Will. They all want a piece of Lyman, and the women want to be flirted with outrageously, and the men want to be told off by an alpha, which obviously Lyman is is a complete alpha.
Maybe the only alpha.
And and he tells off all the beta. But it's just, I think that's where I'm in my happy place, by being utterly ridiculous and showing how crazy this world is and how ridiculous these people are with the things.
But wait till it get home. She gonna be like, damn, shit,
love the show for Belfast. That was Thomas Mullen. Thank you for the donation. He lives over in Belfast. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I don't have the donations routed through. I know you can't hear them.
No, it's fine. Interrupt away. I don't mind.
I couldn't. I guess my biggest thing is I couldn't imagine being like, I've tried to, like, some of these people that I have interactions with, which is a question I have for you in just a second. But imagine being like minimum wage and working in like a pharmacy or like a CVS or something, and some guy comes in and starts yelling about him being printed on the greeting cards. Like, this is me. Why do you have this picture? That's me. And I couldn't handle it.
I mean, you just stand there, wouldn't you? Just be like, there's nothing you can say to people like that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's either like just act dumbfounded, or maybe gaslight them, be like, yep, that's you. We took it, and we're not sorry. We're gonna keep printing them. I did have a question. Have you ever met anybody you do an impression of?
No.
Would you meet somebody you do an impression of? Like, if you just met somebody like randomly, let's say they were just at an event like near you or something, would you go up and talk to them? Would you do the impression to them? I guess that would be cool.
Yeah, I don't have a fear of that. I told you about what happened when I did the stand up at Comcast in January.
That's a good video and a good story.
Yeah, I put it out on my channel now, the full set that I did. Well, on one of the nights, my first night, I did Targeted Individual, and I was really concerned about bringing her to the event, because I knew that a lot of people that were speaking were very, let's say, 17th letter of the alphabet adjacent.
Right, for sure.
Say it that way. And I was really in two minds about whether I should go there at all. And then the more I talked it through with people, they're like, but isn't that kind of the point? Like, you don't want to be in an echo chamber. You want to bring your own ideas and your own opinions. And, what's the worst that can happen? They could boo you off stage. And then, just have a beer and forget about it. I was like, oh, okay. So I thought, okay, that the organizers, they're called Nick and Steve, really nice guys. And they're like, look, we've seen your YouTube. We think you're great. We really like your characters. We love Lyman. Come along and, you can go on stage on Friday night and maybe you can go on stage on Saturday night. And I'm like, so can you just tell me what you want me to do? Don't, just tell me what you want me to do.
Right.
And they're like, okay, well, we'll give you a slot on Friday and we'll give you a slot on Saturday. And then I said, look, I can do a bit of street theatre if you like on the Saturday daytime and just bug people dressed as different characters in the bar or whatever. And that worked quite well.
Right.
And so when I got to the venue and there was this big poster in the reception area and it was very professional looking and it said at the bottom of it, Iconic Media.
Right.
And I'm like, ooh, Iconic Media. And I was sat at a table and I kept looking at it and I thought, Iconic Media. And then I looked at the spelling of Iconic Media and it was the Ike family.
Yeah.
David Iconic. I'm like, oh. Now I knew that Gareth Ike was going to be one of the speakers for the podcast thing that they were also doing during the day.
Right.
So it was like comedy at night and then podcasters during the day. And there was, a few people, I didn't really know who any of them were, to be fair. But they're big followings. So, what do I know? I don't know anything. But so I went onto the stage, like, let me show you the stage. I'm like, okay. So I just finished panicking about this flipping Iconic Media poster and like, why is that poster there? What's going on here? Still hadn't quite, you've been called.
Yeah, I'm still listening, but he's trying to get my attention. Go ahead.
The penny hadn't quite dropped. That they were part of this event. And then I stood on the stage and I saw at the side, all of the technical crew.
Hold on just a second. They're going to interrupt you again. They said my name too many times in the chat. So it makes Ollie, are you okay? Hold on.
Hi, Ollie.
Telling a story, Ollie. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi. How are you?
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Do you need something, bud? You have to wait a little bit. Get over there. Okay, sorry. Anyways, David Icke and their family. I'm sorry. I know that's got to be wreck your train of thought. I apologize.
No, don't worry. I have children too. They do that to me constantly. It's absolutely fine. So I'm stood on the stage and I noticed that all the crew that were down the side doing all the technical stuff, they were all a different media company to the guy that I'm talking to. And I'm like, who are these guys? And he's like, oh, they're with Iconic. And I'm like, and I said, this is probably not the best time to tell you, but the character that I'm doing tonight, Targeted Individual, has quite a monologue about David Icke. And I dropped quite a few David Icke jokes in there, and I can't change it. And he went, they'll love it. They'll find it funny. Don't worry about it. Just do it. Just have the balls to do it. Just do it. And I thought, well, I can't not do it because I don't have any other material. So I can't take it out of my set. It's part of it. And, it would completely wreck my flow and half of my jokes. So I had to do it. And I'm like, these people are going to string me up. They're going to absolutely string me up. And I have to say it went quite well and people laughed at my jokes. I was like, oh my God. And, and when I mentioned David Icke, it actually went down quite well.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up meeting Gareth the following night.
Sure. Did he mention the skit work? And
we haven't seen it.
Okay.
He had arrived the next day. So it was just, the crew, the the techie people, but they did interview. But he did have a few of his presenters there, and one of them interviewed me afterwards.
Sure.
And it was a good interview. So I don't know. I think they do have a sense of humor about all of the conspiratorial stuff over the years.
Yeah,
But, I'm through it
a lot of
also.
times they got to build at least a tough skin, and a lot of things are funny objectively, whether you believe them or not. A lot of things are funny once they come to the surface. I'm into like weird humor, like awkward stuff that they seem to stay pretty mad about, but there's other things that are quite funny at some point, especially if it's stuff that's been clearly been made fun of by masses.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You have to learn to laugh at it eventually. So I'm glad I went over. So I'm glad you did it. You would have regretted it if you'd have changed it or done anything different or not done that character and tried to scramble. You would have regretted it the rest of the time.
I think I would have wrecked myself actually if I hadn't done it and tried to throw something else in last minute. I think I would have thrown myself off my game.
Sure.
And so I just did it, and I thought, right, go hard or go home. Just crack on, get on that stage. Own everything you're saying, and then walk off with your head held high, and it worked. So I was like, oh, fair enough.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it was scary, but it was awesome at the same time. So yeah,
sure. Well, I don't know. I know our listeners probably aren't as well traveled as I am, and probably don't have the experience that I do. But clearly, I can tell that you're from probably like South Texas, right? That's where you hail from. What is it?
Right.
As much as you want to share, obviously you don't have to go into detail. You don't want to, but who are you other than that? You live in the UK, and what else?
I live in the UK, and although I've travelled with work to different parts of the UK,
Sure.
I'm up north in the UK, and
You've done some actual acting before, right? Too, is this something in your background?
Absolutely. But well, before I had my children, I was a professional actor, so I did mostly theatre work. That was my love. I didn't have any desires to go into the movie industry. I had no interest in film, no particular interest in television, other than I knew it was a good payday.
Sure.
But I was a proper theatre lovey, and I just wanted to be on the stage, darling.
That's the way a lot of theater people are, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not where the money's at, but they're passionate about it. Some people are using it as a stepping stone, but the people who stick with theater are passionate about it, whether it brings them tons of wealth or not.
Yeah, and that's how it was for me. I just lived and breathed it. I needed it. I needed to be on the stage. I needed that feeling of standing on the stage and playing different characters. It was a dream to me, and I loved it so much. But the thing with theatre is it doesn't make you any money. So when I was between theatre jobs, I would take any job really that I could, but occasionally I would take a bit of TV work.
Sure.
Just to get enough money together really to spend on going to more auditions for more acting jobs.
Right.
And
Did you tell me you did some commercials and stuff before? Is that what you told me something? But I can't remember what it was. I have bad memory.
I did a little bit. I did a bit part on a British soap opera,
Okay.
like a one-off.
Maybe that was it.
And I did a documentary drama about the building of the Titanic for a major television channel in the UK.
That's a calm.
And I was that was a hell of a learning experience. It was a good payout,
Right.
and I did get a few royalty payments from it. After that, not much, like a check for like £1, whatever, because it's sold
Right.
to Germany, or it wasn't
Sure.
a huge thing. But it was always a nice little reminder that was a great experience that I had. And as much as I enjoyed it, and it was it was a big deal to do it, these things never turn out the way you think they're going to turn out. And for me, I had been cast as the wife of the designer of the Titanic, she's called Helen Andrews. And so she was Thomas Andrews' wife. And we were to have a scene where we got married, and it was sort of our story, our little bit of a backstory. And then there was a scene where the Titanic was launched, and there was a conversation between all the dignitaries and on the launch pad. And so I had a few scenes. I wasn't like a major part in this drama at all. I was a very, very small part, but it was a credited part. I would have got my name in the Radio Times, which is quite a big deal for any actor. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it was the summer of, I believe, 2004, and it rained and it rained and it rained and it rained, and all of the outdoor scenes, because obviously it's about the Titanic, so we
Right.
needed to be filming at mainly docks around the UK, and a lot of outdoor scenes, especially the launch of the Titanic, which was all supposed to be shot outdoors.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was like the curse of the Titanic. Everyone said, oh my God, it's the curse of the Titanic. All the schedule changed. They had to cut bits out of the script. And then I got this apologetic note from the director saying, really, really sorry, but we've had to cut your wedding scene. I was like, no. Oh my God. I went to like the best costumier in London to be measured up for this beautiful like Edwardian wedding dress and all this stuff, and it never happened. I was so annoyed. So it was that was really sad, and also that was a few more lines cut from my script, and I'd done the table read with all the actors, and there was a few that, I mean, it was Charles Dance was narrating the whole thing. He was Charles Dance is a big actor anyway. He's in a lot of things, but I suppose notably he was in Game of Thrones. For those that may be wanting a reference, he was a baddie. He was a Lannister in Game of Thrones. He was the father who Peter Dinklage eventually offed.
Oh, okay.
But he narrated the whole thing. He wasn't actually physically in it, in person, but he narrated it all. And there was a lot of really decent actors in it. And for me, it was like, oh my God, these people. And there was some people, I was a bit dim really, because when I met them all at the table read, I recognized so many of these people. I must have been in auditions with them. That was my first thought. Like, I must have been in auditions with them. No, they were on the TV.
Yeah, that's a wild experience.
They were in shows. You haven't met them before at an audition. They're literally on the television. I was like, oh God, oh right, oh yeah, okay. But it was a really good experience to have. But I ended up very much on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
And they didn't need to credit me. My name didn't roll up in the credits at the end.
Right.
And
didn't meet the requirement to be credited. I get there's like so much you have to be in or something. Okay.
I was gutted. I had the launch scene where I had the most script, and because we were just dogged with the worst weather ever, they went, right, okay, we're going to green screen it. Now this is back in 2004, where green screen for TV movies weren't the best.
Right.
For TV documentaries weren't the best. And it just so happened after an entire August of rain, and July and August of rain, we got one scorching hot day. We were all in a studio doing green screen, and all of the actors were sweating sweating. And it just looked awful. So I ended up with another letter from the director saying, I'm so sorry to tell you this, but we've had to cut that scene as well.
No.
I'm like, are you actually kidding me? I had the most lines in that scene. I was so upset because that was it for me. I couldn't make a show reel out of it. It was just nothing.
Right.
And I was genuine. I mean, I still got paid,
Sure.
it's still paid out, and that was still good, but I just wanted to be able to say, look, here's me on screen. This is what I can do. And there just wasn't enough of me saying or doing anything. And I was nothing more than an extra in the end. I was devastated, but not more than my parents, who had told everyone they've ever met, everyone they've ever seen.
Yeah.
All of their friends at work, our daughter is going to be on television. She's in a documentary drama. And I'm like, oh no, now you're going to have to, they're just going to go, well, she's just an extra? Well, no, but yeah.
There she was. Did you see her? Let me rewind it.
Oh no, she's gone.
You mentioned being featured. Is it so? I don't know how it works in the UK, but like over here, like a lot of stuff is like to the Screen Actors Guild and getting so much time to like be credited or be approved to join or even health insurance. Is it like you mentioned being featured in something? The radio. What did you say it was? I don't know.
Radio Times, which back. I mean, I don't even know if the Radio Times exists anymore. But it was a small magazine which gave you all the details of everything that was on TV.
Oh, okay.
Who was in it, and then there'd be the odd article interviewing, you know, actors or comedians or whatever. And but they would list everyone that was in a show.
Right.
And to not have your name put in there was gutting. To not have your name on the bloody rolling credits at the end was even worse.
I can imagine credits would be a big deal. I can imagine to see the credits roll by and see your name. I mean, that's a big accomplishment, and it takes a lot of time. It took a lot of effort to do all those scenes, and then you wait for it to edit, and sometimes this stuff doesn't come out for a long time after filming. Still, editing is a big process, depending on how much they have to do and waiting and the anticipation. Yeah, at least you knew ahead of time. Well, I'm guessing you knew ahead of time. You probably
it was over a year, I think. We had to wait, and the finished product was crap. It was awful, actually. I thought, oh God, because I still have the script. God, the script is so thick. I still have that. So I've still got proof with my name on it that I was cursed as this character. And here's all of my lines. And the director said, oh, you know, you were the only one on the day when we did the green screen filming that delivered all of your lines perfectly, and we didn't have to retake because you ballsed it up. The rest of them ballsed it up and had to be retook several times. With me, it was just for this camera angle, for that camera angle, repeat the lines, you're done, Jenny, done. And that was it. Everyone else was, oh God, I'm sorry, can I start again? And they're all like sweating, dripping. I had flipping corset on and really, really heavy clothes over the top. Because it was all period drama, and I'm just as hot and sweaty as everyone else in the studio, but obviously I had more decorum, you know, I had more poise, and you know, I just I got into the character more. I don't know, but it was it was hard going, and to have that scene then cut as well, I just couldn't believe it. I was mortified. So I think if I ever do anything again, I'm just not going to tell anyone until it's come out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was in that.
It's probably the best way to tweet it or to treat it, because it lines up for a lot of disappointment if something does happen to it. But so you did acting before and a couple different things and some heartbreak, and then you married 107, and then what happened after that?
Right. I didn't marry Juan. But I did marry an American. That is true.
I've seen his cowboy boots. That's why it confused me, I think.
Oh, you know, that was not my husband's.
Yeah, I know, but like I thought it was for the longest time, and then I finally showed up in your chat, and I was like, "That was your husband, right?" And you're like, "No," and I was telling people that. Like, I guess you got her husband to do it. I don't know.
No, that was another YouTuber. I think he closed his channel down, actually. Because he got disillusioned with the spiritual community as well. But he was one of those channels where he just he found conspiracies really fascinating and he wanted to know more. But he was into more Bigfoot and paranormal stuff and investigating things like that. And he, you know, I think he just got a little bit sick of how YouTube was with his channel.
It kind of makes sense. Growing. It makes sense around conspiracy. I love conspiracy theories so much so that me and Mariah used to do a show together where each one of us would bring a conspiracy theory and like explain it to each other on like a show. Like she would pick one and learn all about it, and I would pick one and learn all about it, and we'd go back and forth. But like it is hard to even address them without people going into like a full spiral. Like I can't talk about this one without everybody going like, well, the government did this and they did that, and then QAnon, and then but it's crazy. Plus YouTube hates it. YouTube hates anything conspiracy. They want to put a warning on it or demonetize it or get rid of it. It's easy to become disillusioned with all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think that's why he ended up going, oh, do you know what? I'm done. But he stayed in touch with me, and he said, oh my God, he said I can do a good 107. I said, can you? And he's like, yeah. And I said, hey, do you want to team up and I'll be Nicky Nacky Noo, and you can be, and I can be interviewing 107. And I'm like, you know, get your green screen up, let's go. And he just put this whole thing together, and then I filled in the gap. So he recorded everything, and sure. I just filled in the gaps and wrote the questions afterwards. It was a bit of a weird way of doing it, but it kind of worked. Yeah. And yeah, it was good fun.
Go ahead. In my head, I guess somebody asked me like who was playing 107. I said, oh, maybe she got her husband to do it. Like, I know he's American. And then in my head, like no one corrected me, so I just kept running with it until I was in your chat one day, and you're like, "Oh, that wasn't my husband." I was like, "Oh, well, I wish I could take back the last 2 weeks of me telling people it was your husband." But it happens sometimes, I guess.
It's what happens when you fraternize with other American blokes, I suppose. People start to talk, don't they?
Yeah, I get in trouble with fraternizing with other Americans all the time. How does YouTube treat your channel? Do you ever get demonetized or limited ads? Or I didn't know, because you kind of like change the names of stuff, and it's clearly silly and satire. And they have, like, even though I've been banned 100,000 times, they have in their terms of service, like, it's allowed for satire or for educational purposes or whatever. But do they mess with your ads all the time?
I have for a few. Most of the time when I appeal them, then they sort it out. But I did, funnily enough, I think it was a Nicky Nacky New one, when he was interviewing the one that hides behind a dog.
Right.
What's he called?
Gene Decode.
Is it Gene Decode?
Yeah.
I called him Gene Defraud, I think.
He's a samurai. I don't know if you know that, but he's a dangerous man. Double black belt. Yeah, he cut his leg off one time with a sword, and God saved him. He's wild.
Crazy. No wonder he has to hide behind a picture of a dog. But yeah, I think that one. But I think it was to do with the footage that we used, because we decided. Well, actually, it's not me. It's the person that edits my videos, because he does put quite a bit of creative input in as well.
Sure.
And I said, right, he hides behind a dog photo. So I said, let's get famous dog pics to put in rather than just one. So we're like, right, come on, famous dogs. And we've got, obviously this Lassie, and he's like, what about Cujo?
Right.
What was it, Cujo? And he's like, I know, why don't I splice bits of dog films in with it, scenes that feature dogs? And one that he spliced in was from The Thing. It was a scene with the dogs from the Thing,
right? And
I think because of the nature of that scene, that got me limited ads. And then there was a few Lyman ones where he's obviously talked about, the currency revaluation and all the other buzzwords that have obviously clicked up something and made them. I think we put a gunshot in one of the Lymans.
Oh no!
When he was talking about his foundation statement, I don't know what the hell that was all about. Nonsense. When he was really playing to the Patriots, he. Oh, do you want to? Is there something you want to play?
No. No.
Okay.
I was going to say, have you ever been? Has anybody, like, I've been threatened to be sued by a bunch of times, and I know that Simon is often one that says he's going. Have you ever been named or one of the targets of he's going to sue you? We usually find out about it from his community. They'll be like, "Oh, such and such said they're going to sue," or he said he was going to do this. Has he ever made any threats to any of them? Ever made any threats towards you like that?
I don't know if he even knows who I am, or he's aware that Lyman exists. I don't know. Sometimes I think he does, and he's choosing to ignore. And sometimes I think he hasn't got a clue. But I don't know. I think he probably does know, but it's satire, and I think you're allowed.
Sure.
Satire, parody, I think you're allowed to do that. And also, I always sort of change names. There's only a few where I'll keep the name.
Right.
But for the most, I'll change the names, and I make it very clear. It's satire, it's parody, it's just light-hearted silliness. It's not, no one's picking on anyone. We're just being
right.
silly and all of that. So I haven't had anything, but he doesn't. I don't know. I don't think he's particularly interested. I do think, because I did do one this year, a Divine Feminine Roundtable video this year, where I played who I call Polenta Trixie.
Right.
I had a curious email sent by somebody who wasn't called Polenta Trixie,
right,
or a name that even sounded like Polenta Trixie. However, I'm pretty certain it was her that sent me these bizarre messages telling me how how down to earth and lovely her and her husband are in real life, and that her husband did I know that her husband makes parody videos too, and he's hilarious. And here's some examples, post link,
Sure.
of all of his hilarious videos. And he sends himself up. He's got a great sense of humor. And I just answered and went, that's great. I'm like, what do you want me to say? I'm like, oh, that's great. I'm not going to backtrack and say anything other than that. I'm just going to stick with, well, that's great, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
And leave it there. But I'm absolutely certain that it was the subject that was emailing me to tell me how lovely they really are, and that they're not grifters.
Sometimes you can just see right through it. I know. I was just curious because I know that even I don't think you're liable for anything, or wasn't trying to insinuate you were, but they make a lot of empty threats sometimes. Like I get threatened all the time, and there's no way they could. Phil's supposed to been taking me to court for like the last 3 years, and clearly nothing's coming of that. But you are very good at it. Have you always did you do that as a kid? Was that something that you did? Have you always done like impressions and stuff like that?
Yeah. It's kind of my thing. Starts with doing impressions of your teachers at school, doesn't it? And I've always had quite a good ear for accents. So it's not because I'm married to an American that I can do American accents. I could do that accent before I met him.
Sure.
But although he says I probably couldn't do his accent, I don't know whether he could or not. I don't know. But
You're not waiting until he falls asleep and then practicing it a bit.
No, but I've always sort of been quite. I do listen. I pay attention, and I also watch people's faces when they're talking, so I can pretty much work out where their voice is coming from. Some people are quite nasally. Some people speak from the real back of the throat. Some people. It's all, and I watch people's mannerisms and all of that kind of thing, and I just micro focus on little things like that, and I can usually pick it up quite quickly, and then I'll put something together. I just find the whole process fun to do, and keeps me out of trouble as well, which is always a good thing.
I didn't realize, like, I guess I should have, like, watching impressions. I didn't realize how much, like. So like people do impressions, and obviously they change their voice, but they also make like the mannerisms of the face and the shape of the face, and they look like them when they're doing it, and all that weighs into like how the voice sounds, like how you're holding your mouth and your nose, and it's just crazy. Like a lot of people don't know. Like there's been a bunch of people in the chat being like, you could do Will. They don't know that you get asked that on every live stream. I've been in a couple live streams where you said words as me, and it was pretty good. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into. I can't do anything. Everything I got is just like Southern Will. But he said something. He said words that this other person says, but my voice doesn't change at all. I can't do anything.
Oh, I know, but I couldn't do what you do either. The amount of research that goes into putting your shows together and stuff, I wouldn't even know where to bloody start with all of that. So everyone stay in your lane. It's all good.
But you do a really good job. Most people are, except for the people who are salty about it in my comments. Most people are super impressed with how well you do those. It's something it takes talent. Like it's not everybody can. Most people can't do it, or they would be doing it, because there are people that become famous even on. And TikTok has been a huge platform for that and different things. And as you know, I mean, you've had a lot of videos that have done very well. But yeah, it's hard to do, and when you can do it right, it's a big deal. People like it.
Yeah, it's good when you get it right. And I always say, you're only as good as your last piece of work.
Sure, that's what people remember you by in today's society.
Exactly. Yeah. God, everyone's so damn fickle anyway. Although people do, nicely refer to my back catalogue of Lyman's and all the rest of it, and
right.
say, reference my Medbed advert, or. Actually, I did it was ages ago. I did the QFS advert. I think you played it on Griftbusters.
Sure.
They actually did play that at the Comcast when I did the second night.
Oh no. Yeah, they played it as well.
They said, do you want to put anything, like when you leave the stage, do you want to put any like promotion up or anything like that to promote you? And I'm like, and I said, well, you could use one of my really brief adverts, the spoof adverts that I do, and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, which one do you want?" And I'm like, "Well, maybe do the QFS."
Right.
And so I'd done that on the second night. I had played the total opposite character to targeted individual. I played Skylar. Skylar is the ex-Twitter employee, super woke, announces her pronouns before she enters a room kind of character. I did her that night, and then when she walked off stage, then the QFS advert was played. It was like completely bizarre mix of things.
Sure.
But I thought, at least this sort of shows that I can play both sides, because I often get accused of being affiliated with a political side, and I'm like, wow, have you not been paying attention to? Especially on TikTok, because as far as British politics is concerned, on TikTok, I play people from the Labour Party and from the Conservative Party.
Exactly.
I mock them equally. I think they're all ridiculous, and they all deserve to be ridiculed for the nonsense that they come out with. And I don't have a political side in either British politics or in American politics. I have my own thoughts and ideas about things. I do not like super woke nonsense and far left politics. I detest equally as much as far right politics. I don't like either extreme. I find myself very much in the middle politically, and that leaves you with complete and utter disappointment, because there's no one that seems to represent the middle anymore. You're either furthest to one side or furthest to the other. So we're all a bit stuffed, really, no matter what country we're in. That all our political sides are just awful.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I watched something the other day from, I'm sure you know who Mr. Beast is, like the big gigantic YouTuber. He said something the other day that kind of made me think, and that's another reason I doubled down on like my Qtard account on TikTok. Is he said the more extreme your viewpoint or the actions you're taking, the more views it'll get, and it may be people that love it or people that hate it. The problem is like a lot when you try to line in the centrist and get your message out, a lot of people is like, I could kind of see where that come from, or I could kind of agree with that. But if you do something crazy like call for like the extermination of people, or say that if you don't intrinsically know everybody's pronoun, then you're a Nazi. We do something, it gets hate views, and it gets likes as well, and everybody talks about it, and it gets more views, and it gets more traction. It gets put out there to more audiences, I guess. When you stay in the middle, you're probably the most grounded person. Like that's the same way I am. Like I get mad at both sides, and my chat gets mad at me, but it just doesn't reach as many people. Somebody wants something explosive that they either really agree with or really hate. They don't want something that they can kind of see both sides. They hate that for some reason.
I think Tim Pool went that way, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because when he first started, he was very much, he was like, I'm centrist, I'm in the middle. And then I think actually because he got the most pushback from the far left, he just got so damn sick of it and went, right, do you know what? You've lost me. You've totally lost me. Any sort of slight left-wing ideology that I had has now completely disappeared, and these are my views. Yeah. I think also as you get older, you do tend to swing more conservatively with your thought process, and when you bring your family in and you bring your children in, and I think your values sort of line up a bit more conservatively, which is completely understandable.
Right.
It doesn't make you a conservative necessarily, but it can make your lifestyle perhaps a little more conservative.
Yeah, and you've seen a lot of things too, and like young people, like when you go off to college or whatever, you think the world is perfect and ripe for the picking, and everybody can be happy and this and that, and then the longer you live, you see like the struggles and the things that happen, and the way it's not all going to happen. You're not always going to have money or support or whatever. Like being conservative with your money is a big difference. When young people typically go out and buy stupid stuff, blah blah blah, then older people are more likely to hang on to their money because they've seen like rainy days or whatever come.
Exactly. And definitely having children, I think, makes you change your opinion on so many things, and what your children are being taught at school and that kind of thing. It starts to change your mind about certain things. And actually watched something today about Anna Kasparian and how she's gone from
She's
like
changing.
far left,
Yeah.
and she's starting to call out a lot of the far left stuff. And it's like,
Let me,
oh, wow, welcome.
you know what
Anna.
happened to her? She told a story. So we were talking about the situation that happened in New York on the subway with the homeless man and the former Marine. And she told a story. She's like, well, I can understand how a person could be scared around these our unhomed or unhoused friends. Like, they don't even want to call them homeless, because there's a story of her where she was walking in her neighborhood and two guys approached her that were homeless. And one of them like grabbed her by the waist and started like humping her, like she was sexually assaulted by a homeless person, basically. There was no penetration; it was all over the clothes, but still, I mean, terrifying for a woman. I mean, I couldn't imagine what was going through her head. And she told that story, and she didn't even mention their ethnicity, and instantly she got called out as hating the homeless people, hating black people, even though both guys were white. They said that she made up the story. She had to bring out a police report where her and her husband had reported the incident. They just threw her to the wolves. They wait on people to say something that they think they can throw to the wolves. And the problem with the left that I see personally, even if you don't want to make a political statement, there's a lot of left centrists. The problem is, like, they won't call out the most extreme because they're afraid. So like, if I'm a left centrist and technically I don't agree with this crazy extreme ideology on the left, I just try to be like, oh, you can't say that. Yep, you got to agree with him, because if I call it out, that's it. You're canceled. You're done. If I say, maybe there is something to violence and homeless people, then you're just canceled. You're done. It's over. Your whole career, everything. Even though some of those people are more center, you can't call them out online. You can't say anything to them. That's it. You're canceled.
There's a lot less cancel culture center right and right. A lot less of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you go more to the extreme of the right, then they're just as bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, deplatforming and everything.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's very, very hard. Sometimes it's better to stay ignorant and stay completely out of the nonsense politics rather than getting too pulled into it, because this is how extremes are created.
And they've made it their identity. I couldn't tell you, like, I voted this way and just walk away and we talk about something else. And nowadays, you say I voted this way and they label you as something, and you're in this box that you can never be anything else. You know what I mean? It's crazy, and splitting up families and stuff. It's just wild. Politics didn't used to be this big a part of our lives until, recently. But it is now. It's too much of our lives, I think. Then you go outside.
It's amazing how many people will accuse you of being an ist or a obic, for making jokes as well. Like, obviously I do parody Meghan Markle. And I was so shocked because some of the comments when I first started doing Meghan Markle was, that is so racist. How is it? I'm not blackfacing.
So racist.
I'm just putting a wig on, and I've taken her mannerisms and the way that she speaks and that sanctimonious way that she talks to people. That's all I did. And I always try and teach my my teenager about people who try and pull you into an idea of, oh, well, this is racist and that's this and that. And I always say to him, because my son is mixed race, I always say to him, I will only ever encourage you to use your race card if you're arguing with someone from the far left. Right. Then you can whip it out and slap them around the face with it.
That's
you
right.
can use that race card all day long, but don't use it any other time, because it's not a way to argue for anything.
Sure. I can't believe you just said teenager. You have a teenager?
I have a 16-year-old.
Oh my goodness. I figured when I imagined that you had a kid, I figured, I don't know, it just popped in my head. I guess you look younger, but it was just a younger child. I couldn't believe he was a teenager.
I have a 10-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Jeez.
And a 17-year-old stepdaughter as well. So yeah. Yeah. Now I feel really old.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't look it. I would have never guessed that you had a teen, which I guess it's weird. It's a weird concept of time because I've almost got a teenager, but for some reason it seems like it's so far away, or like I just imagined younger children. Liam just turned 12, so yeah, that's crazy. I've almost got a teenager. Yeah. I've got one last question for you, and it's something that I've wondered for a long time. Is there any impressions that you can't do? Is there anybody that you try to do and you're like, I can't do that. I cannot do that impression.
I probably haven't found it yet, but I'm sure it does exist. I did a character with a South African accent when I was doing a oh God, I can't even remember it was a Mad Max Maddie sketch.
Right.
And she was doing a round table. It was a totally legit round table I did. And she was a South African, and it became a running joke that I could not do the South African accent. And in the end, I was like, I'm from everywhere. I've gone all around Europe. I'm all over the place. And it was so bad. And I think one of the bloopers that I put out for because I always do like an end of the year video, and I include a lot of the bloopers. And it was me cracking up at trying to do a South African accent. I just could not do it. And I ended up just sat there just in fits of laughter because I just couldn't get this accent right at all. I still put the video out because I'm like, look, I can't do it. I also did Nicola Sturgeon, who was the ex-leader of the SNP, Scottish National Party, and I did a really appalling Scottish accent for her. It really was piss poor. And you know so there will be accents that will completely defeat me. I'll give them a go. But
I guess I didn't really realize that there's so many British accents too. Like you have your accent, and then you do like the Great British Bird. Like that's a completely. Yes. There's so many different. In America, it's easy to tell. Like they're from the South and North, at least for me, and probably even foreigners. Like nobody's going to confuse me as like being from New York City. But I didn't realize how diverse it was in the UK as well.
Oh God, absolutely. I mean, you know, the Great British said she's from Liverpool. Well, no, I give her a Liverpool accent. She's not actually from Liverpool. She's from Cheshire, which is outside of Liverpool.
Right.
They've got a nicer accent, but what I do is I annoy her by giving her a Scouse accent, because if I do that, then she's going to get agitated because they think they're posh,
right,
where she is. But they do have a slight twinge of Scouse, so I just went full Scouse with it.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, if you went, a lot of Americans that go to Liverpool panic when they get there because they're like, we cannot understand what these people are saying.
Where the hell are we?
Yeah. I watched. I really like Bill Burr, and I was watching him do his. I think it was Paper Tiger that he did. I think it was called Paper Tiger, his stand-up show, and he took it to Liverpool, and he was just in a complete panic. He was like, these fucking people, I don't know. He couldn't understand what anyone was saying, and he was just joking about how he just went back to his hotel because he just didn't know how to talk to anybody. He couldn't understand what anyone was saying. It was absolutely weird. But yeah, there are so many different accents in the UK, and I technically should have more of a Northern Yorkshire accent. But because I chose to be an actor, I made myself not have a particular regional accent because
mellowed it out. So what would the Northern accent sound like?
Well, I did bring up Game of Thrones, didn't I, at the beginning of so everyone that was from the North, winter is coming.
Right.
Everyone from the North talks like that, so technically I should probably speak with a bit of a Northern accent like that. That's where I were from, but I don't. In fairness, my poor family, they don't speak that Yorkshire, but they're a bit posher than that. But that I should have more of a Yorkshire accent than I do. But
absolutely. Yeah, that was good. I mean, I can't even do that. All I know is Southern. So this is a good job. It just blew my mind that there was so many. I always see people on TikTok making fun of people saying bottle of water, like British people saying bottle of water, and I have no idea what accent that is, but that's British to me. That's all I know.
How would they say it? Like bottle of water?
Yeah, with like no consonants. It's just
Bottle of
exactly like you
water.
said it. I don't know what that
Yeah.
is, but that's what they always say.
That's more of I use that accent for targeted individual. Actually, that's more of a southern accent. So I'm closer to around the London area. A lot
Okay.
of parts of London, because not everyone in London speaks nice and posh like this. You know, we don't all speak like the royal family. Most people in London sort of talk like that with a bit of a Cockney accent, and you know, around the London area, so out towards Essex, they sort of talk a bit like that. But it's all
Somebody said you should learn to do Roseanne. Roseanne Barr. She's in the community now.
Yeah, she has been for a while. I've been watching her for a while.
She takes big breaks, but if you followed Kirsten W, I mean, she was all over Kirsten W for a while.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's I say I like Roseanne, but she is a bit extreme in, you know, she has fallen down quite a few rabbit holes, hasn't she? And it's get her out.
I do think it would be funny if you did her accent though, because it's like whiny, like it's like the whole time it sounds like she's whining the whole time. That would be very funny. I thought that was a good comment.
She does. She always sounds like she's just pissed off with somebody, doesn't she?
Yeah.
I
It's
think
hard
that
to.
would take quite a bit of work actually on
Yeah.
my part. I think I would struggle with that a bit, so I'd have to work on that. See if I could give it a go.
Well, other than that, you got anything you want to leave off with, Intel Lady?
Well, I mean, you know, please follow my my Intel Lady channel. Find me on TikTok, annoying the hell out of people on TikTok. If you want to amuse yourself, jump into the comments section on some of the bigger videos on TikTok where I just continue in character annoying people. That's always good fun. Yeah, and just if you enjoy my work and you like silliness, then please subscribe to my channel and maybe share a couple of my videos out. Go way back. I would recommend everybody watches my Confessions of a Driving Instructor documentaries that I did. I even did one for the midterm elections last year. I don't know if you caught that one. Lyman decided to go canvassing for the midterms in the UK.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, so please come over, enjoy a bit of my silliness and subscribe, and I try and chat to everybody in the comments. If people leave a comment as if they're talking to the character, I usually respond in character as well because it's more fun.
Sure, absolutely. I had the mods that would drop your link. I just dropped your buy me a coffee link. That's where you get your donations, right? You just use buy me a coffee.
Yeah, that's the only one that I've got, and I always appreciate that when people. I'm always really surprised when people buy me a coffee. I'm like, oh, thanks.
What about when people buy you finger flamingos? Is that surprising or?
Well, that is surprising. I'm glad I was slightly warned about that before they arrived. They smell so strange, Will. They really do smell very, very weird.
I don't know how they were packaged, but man, I wish I could have seen you open them.
Yeah, I was like, oh, and I got the whiff of them. I'm like, oh, that's going to be fun to work with. And then I put them on. The texture of them is so bizarre as well. I was like, oh God. But yeah, that was the most interesting gift I've ever been bought. So thank you.
Thank you for coming on. I'll make sure we drop your links and then I'll go back in and add them to the description at the top if anybody is watching this replay. But thank you for coming on, Intel Lady. It was good to have you. I'm glad we finally got to do this. It's been a while coming.
It was a pleasure. It was really nice talking to you. And yes, we'll have to catch up again soon. I'm sure we'll have all sorts of nonsense to discuss.
Absolutely. Since it's late there, instead of holding you in the back, I'll just tell you bye here and then I'll do the outro and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And bye, everyone.
Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. Let me get your camera and then audio. Have a good night.
Bye.
All right, guys, that was Intel Lady. If you're not familiar with her, please go check her out on YouTube. I try to share like one of her videos or something when I can. She's also made a bunch of custom videos for us. She supports our show. I wish you guys would go support her show as much as you can. There's even some that I haven't even shown in a while, like the Patriot Feet Hotner, the Milk Toast Pussy Cat Treats. But she's the two Phil Gotlewski videos. She's very talented in what she does. Very funny. I had somebody in the comments I was arguing with. I can't remember who it was. Hold on, we'll see if we can find it. But like people take offense to it. But literally, like I've never seen anybody do a better Phil. Like the pauses, the way he enunciates the certain syllables, like she's good at it, and she honestly just watches it for a few minutes. And she's got it. So she's talented for sure. Oh, here it is. It says, I'm not particularly a fan of Phil G, but that Intel Lady imitation of him to me is just not funny. It's hilarious. I don't care what you think, Peggy K. And then she tried to say like, oh, well, she doesn't have an impression of you, so you must not think she's funny. But if you go to one of our live streams, every time I pop in there, people request that she does an impression of me, and she has done an impression of me. Thank you very much, Magic Nova. Enjoying the show. She has done an impression of me, and it was pretty good. She hasn't done a full video, but all the time when I'm in her comments, people are like, "Can you do Will? Can you do Will? Can you do Will?" And of course she can. Like I'm just normal Southern, I guess. But yeah, she does a good job at all the impressions she does. She's very talented, so go check her out. I've got to hop off here for now. I'm going to be back in a little bit. I'm going to be on Matoni. That'll be over on his Ripcast. YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, all the normal places. Zero Dark Tony or the Ripcast channel. And I'll be on with him. And then we'll be back. We'll be back in a little bit with my show. My show will start about 9 p.m., but from 8 to 9, I'll be on with Tony. So I'll see you guys there if you want to join us. If you don't, no big deal. I'll see you at 9 p.m. on all my channels. Thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. Don't do anything Intel Lady wouldn't do, and I'll see everybody on the next show. Have a good night. And thank you to Intel Lady for coming on. I'm not the easiest person to schedule with, especially the 5-hour difference. And I didn't even know if I was going to make it today because I was so far behind on stuff. But luckily, she was ready and prepared. So thank you very much for that.
You don't have the forking balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came
this will be posted everywhere. So if you want to watch, if you catch the replay or miss part of it, you're more than welcome to go watch it back again. It'll be on my YouTube channel. It's on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, and Twitch. It'll be on Twitch for 2 weeks until they, they wash them all out or whatever.
He's strapped to the shaft, beating his chest like he's King Kong. Starving for attention, I'm gonna make your gut burst. I'll be your Huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G top.
Oh, you don't have to thank me. She did all the work. But I appreciate you guys showing up. Thank you.
Shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that
I have a feeling that Intel Lady, at least on TikTok, where it's got all this crazy engagement right now and surpassing other platforms, she's going to take off one day, and she'll be 1,000 times my size. She's just too good at what she does, especially for like real short form content. There's been a bunch of like satirists, I guess, that take off over there. One of them plays Joe Biden's granddaughter or some shit, grand cousin. I don't know. She plays one of them. She's been viral a couple times. The national news has picked her up twice by accident.
Stop. What? I'll get my files. What are you doing? Stop. Hold on. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously. My mom's an alcoholic. Give me oh my God. Damn it.
When I shut this down, I'll go pin all her links in the description. That way, if if they don't show up in the replay of the chat, it'll still be there.
Piss 'em off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the beds, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Round 3. Down goes Nino. Please say it isn't so. Got him backed up on the ropes, trying to ram it down his throat. Now things are getting rocking, he was doing so well. It's all over, hands
Poor Nino.
ringing his bell. You got Frog News Network doing no damn research. They rework and copy on copy.
Thank you for the donations coming as well. I appreciate that.
And they acting like
I wasn't expecting. I kind of forgot I was even approved for super chats and super thanks or whatever. But I appreciate you guys using it.
time of the night. These parasites, these leeches, with all their secret meetings, teaching all you fucking cretins about baby eating heathens. Believing.
And if you were wondering where everybody was at while you were watching on YouTube, I mostly broadcast on Twitch now. So the biggest audience I have is over on Twitch. But thank you for joining us either way.
Place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss 'em off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the beds, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
You don't have those guts because you're a pussy. You're a pussy wearing aviator glasses in your mother's basement. And I won't even give out your dime store handle because that's really pathetic.
Thank you very much for the shout out, Scott McKay. At the end of that music, we appreciate it, guys. See y'all in the next one. Come catch me on Tony's if you want to, and I'll be back live later tonight. Have a good one, guys.